Welcome back. In this video we're going to be working on adding in the hips and getting those configured. So we created an element for the hips ages ago, back when we first made project. So I'm just going to move these comps over here. Now we have our hips. With the hips selected, we'll just go and insert a backdrop for it. And we'll call this hips. Actually, this will be our waist, because this is going to, this backdrop will have the hips, we're going to have the lower jacket panels, and we'll have the 3 belt pieces and the belt buckle eventually on it, but right now we'll just start out with the hips. So now let's grab a new color, grab a, see we had that, so now we'll just grab purple for it, just kind of work our way down the line. Close that. And stretch it out. So now we have our waist artwork here, or I mean our hip, sorry, and our waist comp. And with that, we are going to join this to our lower body comp on it. So I'll just drag that down. And eventually we're going to need the OGL controller, so we'll put the little butt crease on it. So we'll have that little line so we can move that around as we need, so we can add that line while we're building out the hips now, just so it's there. But later on we can have full control of it for when we need it on that back view. Alright, so with my artwork there, let's go and grab so we can just grab the art layers and pull those down. Oh, we still had some art layers we probably could have played with. We have some ones we don't need there. We'll just delete them off of that. Now we have a clean set that we're working with over here. And we're going to need some, probably these 3 layers to go with it. So we'll first just connect those. Oh, I was thinking that was the comp. We aren't going to be using those on their hips. Zoom out so we can see it. Deselect, highlight these, and what we're going to need is we will want a comp here. This comp is going to be our hips comp. Delete what's there first. And we set that up. So now highlight those, hold down Alt or Option, click, that connects it in. Now stick it down, and now we're up and running. So let's figure out what the hips need to look like. As part of that, we'll want to go over here, turn on our pivots so we can see those again. Go back to our hips here, grab our pencil tool, set our color to our line, to run the line art layer, and with this I'll go choose my line. Let's make sure line tool properties is at my standard default that I want, so we're in good shape there. And with that we can zoom in and see what we were working with. So with this line we can decide, where I want to begin with it, because I want to, I can start out with those circles on it. So what I actually want to do is jump over, select the pivots, and we'll have to scale that one up, but we can grab those 2 circles, copy them, go back into the hips over here, and paste it in. So now it pastes it in. With them selected, change our color. Oh, I see. Pivots is on top, so that's why it's still showing. So now that we're done with that, deselect the pivots, go back over here. All right, so we got some circles to start with on it. Grab our line tool, and our hips layer. We can see how that's now nice and dark and ready to go. So this is where we just have to decide how we want to draw it. So we could work on doing symmetrical, but there really is nothing symmetrical about it. So start scaling, hold down shift. That lines it up. Wait. As I'm looking at it, it looks like we probably need to adjust the size of that leg, because that leg is sticking out. I see now further than, so I'm looking at, as we see the artwork showing through. So last time I left it on our upper leg here, if we grab the upper leg and grab its deformer, I see I didn't pull it in to match that line. So let's, again, we're not doing keyframes, so we turn off animate, and now I see I needed to be pulled in a little bit more, so that now lines up that shape with it. Turn off our deform, go back onto the hips, grab our drawing tool so we can see, and now that's going to be a much better arrangement. So now that I have my line tool, I can decide, so the hips, whoop, don't want to click that point. And we got 2 points because I'm being sloppy. And I'm noticing there's no snapping going on. So apparently I turned off snapping last time I was doing anything. So now I can see I got snapping, and I can pull it down over to here. So I'm going to pull it about to what would be the middle of that. Hold down Command or Control to get the shape that I'm looking for. And on the hips, we're going to continue the hips up to the top of the belt. We're going to end up using the jacket pieces here. So I could run this up, but then the jacket pieces, I will run them out to the edges and they will effectively cut. So I'm going to just run the hips up to a line here. But the jacket pieces are going to cut the belt pieces. So this line here will be hidden by the belt and the jacket. The hips will sit below the torso. So we'll have, or in front of the torso, but the belt will sit in front of this hip artwork. And now that I have that, I can click over here and start looking at my points and see what's going on. I can delete a section there and there. Then we'll zoom in and further clean things up. So with these two lines here, if I turn on snapping, now I can select those points. And right there, that option will join my pencil line, so now that's joined. I can look at this. I don't think I want to pucker on that point. And we can see how we have our 2 points. That's why I didn't get double handle. So let's select those 2 points, join those pencil lines there. So now it should ideally flatten those out. There we go. So now, if I want to remove that pucker, I can drag until it clicks on. Now we have these two lines that are connected. You can use the arrow key to pull it in a little bit more. There we go. So now it's round. Line it up. Oh, I thought I was grabbing the point. There we go. I've got a point there. And if I want this to be a corner point, I can hold down Alt or Option and break it. So now that's sharp. Let's go on over here, see what we have going. So we have these 2 points here and here. All right, so now we join those together. That needs to pull in a little bit more, a little higher to kind of create the mark that we need. All right, that's gonna work for what I need for some hips on this. And with that, I'm going to just pull this point down just a little bit more, this one down just a little bit, because I want these to be kind of inside the belt, and because I'll be using the jacket pieces and running those all the way up to form that edge. And now we have artwork for the hips. Go make some color art. Can click and choose our pants color. Grab our paint bucket and fill it. So now it's been filled. And now when we go back into our node view here, this is where we start to create some magic. Now, actually, we will want to, if I keep it on that view, grab my rigging tool. Okay, fine. We're going to just temporarily because I want to create my deforms here, so I'm just going to temporarily disable those so I can now see my artwork a little bit easier. Grab the rigging tool, set this to envelope creator. Now when we go and want to create our envelope, click back on the hips. And I can kind of start anywhere. With that, I'm going to just start right here at the middle. Drag my first point out, the next point we drag back. And now I'll drag back. Back, back. So let's just remember we're trying to span approximately 90 degrees per thing. Hold down Alt or Option to then close it out. And now with that held down, we can use Alt or Option to adjust those angles to create the curves we want, shortening up our handles as necessary or lengthening them as necessary. And the little bit of time you spend cleaning this up when you first do it, really the better off it's going to be when you actually try and use it. So we ideally want to set it up to the best of our ability. Go back onto the hips here. Add a peg to it. Put that peg on top of the hips. Grab our rotate tool and kind of, yeah, I mean, we can put it down here. I'm going to move the pivot point up because if I'm accessing the deformer right here, that's going to be problematic of having that pivot point right there. So I'm going to leave the pivot point out and move it up a little bit just because that makes accessing it so I'm not clicking on the pivot point when I'm trying to grab a point on the deformer. So that will just make things a little bit easier for me. So what we really want to do now is we're going to use the auto patch and we'll be cross-cutting with the legs. So with that, what I need to do is to add a composite here. Then I'm going to go and grab the auto patches from the legs. So this will be our leg auto patch comp. Oh, I like leg auto patch comp. And what we need now is I need a cutter. I don't want it below the comp, I want it to be cutting the line art with it. So now we are going to cut the line art with the auto patch, and then we'll use the auto patch from here to then cut the line art of each of the legs. So when I look at the legs, I need the auto patch of the upper leg. And if I go into my upper leg, I will see that the upper leg is here and its auto patch is going to here, but it's not exiting. We only had, on this unit, we had the foots, the middle part. So the lower leg's auto patch was already coming out. So we could add another port to that group, or what I can do is just create another auto patch, and we're going to need one for the other leg as well, so I'll just put that in the corner over there. And now what I can do is go find where I have my upper leg here, drag to an auto patch, and drag that auto patch into this comp, and we can see how now let's reactivate those. So we're going to have to do a little bit of rearranging, but it's starting to align things. And now let's go grab our other auto patch over here. And we'll put it by the upper leg. And now so the trick of connecting these without having to drag the cable is I click on that so it's highlighted. Then I go over here and hold down Alt or Option, click at that point, and it now added that in as well. So now we have both of those auto patches coming in and cutting our hips. So we need to activate this leg as well. Whoop. And see. A. Okay, so now we have our leg comps coming in over here, and the legs are cutting the line art of our hips. And sometimes when we're working with this, we have to, as we have comps on comps, that moving that the hips comp in front of the leg, each leg comp, then it's aligning those so we can see how that's now lining up a little bit better with it. And we'll have to put the belt pieces and jacket on top of those, so their cables will sit in front so that they're on top. So sometimes when we're putting all our pieces in place to get our parts to align, we have to make those adjustments. So what I want to do now is I'm going to create the little crease that I can use for the butt in the rear view. So with that, first we'll just make a new node here. Grab an element, and now with that element here, let's call this butt crease. And the butt crease is really just going to be a simple little line as we look at it. So I can just go grab my line tool, or we don't need to see that deformer anymore. Go into the color, grab my lines. And for this, I need to temporarily turn off snapping because otherwise it will make it hard when I'm trying to draw that line. And we're just going to draw a simple line. Now I can turn snapping back on and go back into our node view here. And with this, we'll add a peg to that. So Command or Control P with it. Doesn't need a deformer, I don't think. We do need an OGL controller for it, so we'll drag that into there, drag that into our OGL controller comp. Now it gives us something to work with on that. And now I can leave that name. I just want to call this. It's our butt crease there. Switch back over to controller, setup mode. We can see, go to our normal settings that we're using for our other OGL controllers there. Shrink that down. Now with setup mode, instead of a circle, I'm going to go for a square. That just seems more appropriate. 0.2. Size that works. Now I don't want to use that. Grab this tool, and now I can put this here, pulling that down. I can pull the label over as well. So now we have that part in place. And close that. So now if I grab this, we can adjust it. And what we want to do with this is I want to set up a cutter. And this cutter is going to be right here. And we're going to then cut using the auto patch. Oh. Leg comp over here. Oh, no wonder I was having some issues with, I wasn't cross-patching, which is why I had to change my layer order. I only half patched. I brought these over and I never brought the cutters to the line art for the upper leg. So I was confused as to, I'm like, this should be working because I actually want the hips on the bottom here, and now we see those lines. But let's go grab this auto patch and drag it in. Now we can see it's in, invert it, so now it shows when we're there. Oh, did I turn off setup? Let's just verify. Yep, turn off setup. So now if I go and grab this and move it, we'll see how it shows when it's there, but it disappears. So we can just drag it up when we need it. When we don't need it, just drag it down into empty space and it disappears. So it's an easy way of controlling it without having to have a visibility node that we're keyframing or anything like that. So just a nice and simple way of working. So yeah, I forgot to include my auto patches, so we need a couple more cutters for my cross patching. So let me just go grab that cutter, copy paste, move this over here, And now this cutter is going to, so this is the upper leg that we want to cross patch. And for doing our cross patch, we're going to just, we know that this is the upper leg. Let's just zoom in so it's easier to insert it into it. I can now drag that in, zoom out a little bit, grab the auto patch, put the cutter on it now. So now I can pull, if I nudge it forward or back, it's still going to work, versus having to make sure I have that correct layer order, which if I do any nudging, then we may end up getting the line showing, and they're like, well, that sucks. That's not what I want. So let me just copy that, go over here, and we can paste in that cutter, drag this in. So we alt drag, it puts it in. And now I need to go grab that auto patch from here. So I'll just select that auto patch. Be careful not to select anything else. Hold down Alt or Option, click here. Oh, and I missed where I was trying to click. Alt or Option, click here. And now that connects it in. And now we're in good shape. We've added those in. We got some extra nodes we're not using, so we'll just delete those out of there. So now we have our hips, our two legs. We got the butt crease sitting there. We're in good shape. Now the butt crease doesn't show on the front view, so I am just going to pull that down. And if we look at our character, now we have the hips set up. So we're in good shape with that. And our next point to tackle will be to start setting up the belt, which we will do in our next video.